policing the police every single day.
I'm quite frankly over it. We see it for what it is. And they're not helping themselves. Hi, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, why are we talking about, why are we blaming a guy shooting iguanas with a BB gun and the sheriff overreacted, gave kids PTSD?
What? Gave kids PTSD?
Oh, man.
Did you hear the story from the kid?
No. What?
Overreaction. You don't.
Yeah, it was an overreaction.
You didn't grow up with
that was complete overreaction. But
overreaction.
PTSD? What kid got PTSD?
Talk to the parents and the kids. You didn't hear the interviews with them?
No,
I didn't. Teddy bears to calm them down.
Oh, did we need service animals or service animals
We need
involved?
service iguanas.
Oh, let's see if this caller knows. Hi, caller. Do you know about the service animals and the teddy bears for the PTSD incident because of a BB gun?
I'm afraid not.
Okay.
That's not
right.
not my bag.
Okay.
Hey, Ken, Mike.
Hey, Sheriff County, this is Sheriff County Cop Watch, and I'm going to talk about, you heard me call into the radio station here. It's the biggest radio station around, about how nobody will admit that the sheriff totally fucked up. This guy was legally, he's a trapper, he was legally shooting iguanas with a BB gun. He was out for days, a couple blocks away from the school. Nobody said shit, because you don't have to say shit. It's legal. It's the Second Amendment. It's in the Constitution. And I called in and I mentioned that the kids have PTSD, and they do. If you watch the videos of the parents they were interviewing, the kids they were interviewing, holy shit. So here the sheriff totally overreacted. They could have went and found out what's going on with the guy, not locked down the school, had 40 cop cars showed up with fucking full military gear on, AR rifles everywhere. They lock down the school. They go into every single classroom, and they're freaking the shit out of kids. Here's what PTSD is. Police Traumatic Distress Order. That is what it is, because that's what they got now, because our sheriff is a goddamn pussy, and he didn't do his goddamn job and check what's going on first. It was a bus driver that saw this guy with a BB gun. Why didn't they say, okay, stay there, live stream us, whatever. He could have done a ton of shit. Just stay there, watch him, wait for us. No. To do a show of force to get reelected, they fucking freaked out kids that will never forget this. Do you know why I never experienced this when I was in school? Because guess what? It wasn't a gun-free zone. We fucking had guns on property, because I'm from Michigan, man. We went hunting after school. Guess what? Nobody dared to do stupid shit because you'd get killed. And now they made it a gun-free zone, and now they're brainwashing and indoctrinating kids, parents, the public. It's fucking stupid. PTSD, Police Traumatic Distress Order, that is what they gave the kids, and the sheriff should be charged and sued to fucking hell for doing this shit to kids. When we have the Second fucking Amendment, man. Jesus Christ. You could take away guns. Look at all the places they've taken away. It doesn't matter. Bad guys are going to get guns. Jesus Christ. The first fucking weapon was a rock in the Bible. You can kill people with your hands, a rock, a pressure cooker, a knife. In China, they don't have guns. Guess what? People kill a shitload of people with knives. If you're damn good with the knife, you can kill a shitload of people real quick. It doesn't matter. This is bullshit, man. PTSD on kids because of our pussy-ass sheriff that doesn't believe in the Second Amendment. He's violated a third-degree felony for having a list of illegal gun owners and illegally profiling them. Third-degree felony, 790.335. Look it up. $5 million fine. And our government here is so corrupt, they will not charge him. It's disgusting. Remember what our founding fathers said, take a goddamn country back, you're a frog in a pot, the water's gone, it's turned into steam, get the hell out and fight.
COPWATCH, policing the police every single day.
Hey, Sheriff County, this is Sheriff County Cop Watch, and I got to make a comment on this insane situation here again. This guy is being crucified for something that's in our Constitution. It's called the Second Amendment, the right to fucking bear arms, god damn it. And here's what's even more insane. This motherfucking goddamn Nazi prick, Charlotte County Sheriff Bill PRUMMELL, oh my god, blew this ungodly way out of proportion. This guy is a licensed freaking hunter trapper, and he used a BB gun to get iguanas blocks away from school. And because this fascist fuck right here, Charlotte County Sheriff Bill PRUMMELL, doesn't believe in guns, doesn't believe you should have one, and if you do have one, he wants to know about it. He committed a third-degree felony having a list of gun owners and illegally profiling them. Just because a bus driver saw him, which he's been doing for weeks, he just wrote about. Here's all the stuff right here. Here's the guy right here. He's been doing this for weeks in the neighborhood because there's so many iguanas over there. And it's in our Constitution, Second Amendment. Sheriff blew it out of proportion, put 2 schools on lockdown. I'm going to do another screen read on his apology. Here's a fucked up thing. It is not his fault. It is a sheriff's fault. A sheriff should be fired for freaking out kids just because somebody has a goddamn gun. That is in our Constitution, you motherfucking Nazi-ass prick. And now you got this guy apologizing everywhere. Look at this. What is this? Wink News apologizing. I'm sorry. Guess what? It's not your fault. It's the sheriff's fault for giving kids PTSD. 40 cop cars showed up. They're in full military dress. They had their ARs out. They were in every single room. You can see the interviews with the kids crying. We're going to die. Guess what? The freaking iguana hunter didn't do that. NBC2 did a thing too, where he said, I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It's the sheriff's fault. The sheriff is a fucking out of control goddamn socialist fascist Nazi who thinks only he should have a gun. Isn't that what Nazis did and communist China did, Cuba did? How did that end? Wake the fuck up, people. Are you serious? I apologize. It's not your fault. It is the sheriff's fault. Period. I'm going to do a screen read on his apology. I'll do a screen read on this article and the video. This is insane. This is not his fault. It's in our goddamn Constitution. You fucking snowflakes. Remember what the founding fathers said, take a goddamn country back. And you're frogging a pot. The water's gone. It turned into steam. Get the hell out and fight.
Roy Matthew Wathan. 3HRS. Honestly exhausted from dealing with all of this. A few things I would like to say though. Many people don't to acknowledge or share what I have done to try and ease the stress caused to so many in this situation. It's easier to hate from behind their screens. First off, nobody seems to care that I have been doing the same thing I did yesterday at this same very location across the canal from the school property the same time daily for over 2 weeks now, and nobody batted an eye, complained, or questioned what I was doing before. Not the parents driving 15 miles per hour in the school zone. Not the parents staring at me parked in front of the school waiting, not even the children walking home past me while I emptied my traps or loaded my BB gun and walked into the backyards to look for lizards in plain sight. Thank you to everyone that has and continues to support me and what I do and has defended me endlessly through all the negative people out there judging me, not realizing how this may be affecting my personal life and things that I am involved in within our community outside of my business. Also to those that have taken the time to ask me questions and make sure they have the story straight before passing judgment on something they really know nothing about. In the end, I know who my friends are and who had my back through this, knowing the type of person I am, and to the new friends I have made through this event. Lastly, to all of the name callers and assumers and just plain rude ignorant people out there thinking that I simply do not give a shit about what happened, who are you? What do you know? Who have you asked? Who verified that truth? Why is forgiveness so hard for you give? Why have you not contacted me to ask what I have done to express my concerns to those that were affected in the community? I am not going to go into major detail what I have done, but I have sent literally 100 or more private messages out to parents that I noticed were affected by this. I cannot personally apologize to everyone, but if I have heard your story and I know you were affected, then I have reached out to you and apologized directly to you. I broke my apologies down to everyone on 3 different televised news stations, but none of them showed me looking into the camera and apologizing eye to eye with anyone watching the TV. One particular station didn't air me saying thank you to Sheriff Bill Prummell for his team's excellent response to the situation. Hopefully someone shares this with him. I spoke to the principal of Vineland Elementary and expressed my feelings, apologies, and remorse for not thinking that this could have ended up the way it did. She was accepting and stated that she would let her faculty know that I reached out. I personally apologized to LEOAFFAIRS principal's secretary over the phone and wrote the principal an email which I will copy and paste below. A parent had suggested to me that maybe I could go in front of the students and talk about what I do and educate them on why I do it and the proper way to do those things. I think it's a great idea and I am more than willing to do so. Some of you are just plain ignorant and heartless, and I have no desire to continue entertaining your hate, as that is all you have in your chest. Good afternoon, Mr. Harvey. My name is Roy Wathan. I was the iguana hunter responsible for the school lockdowns yesterday afternoon. I would like to start off by saying that words cannot express how sorry I am to everyone that was involved in this unfortunate misunderstanding, to you, your school, Vineland Elementary, surrounding neighbors, CCSO, but most of all to the frightened parents and their innocent children. I had permission by the nearby homeowners to trap and shoot the iguanas on their property, and I have been doing so for a few weeks now. It never crossed my or my customers' minds that something like this may have happened. It was ignorant on my part to not think to take the necessary precautions to prevent something like this from happening. The deputies have advised me to contact them in the future when I will be within public sight with my pellet gun. The deputies and I agreed that I will not be using the gun within the vicinity of any schools, and traps will be my only means of removing the iguanas in those areas. I must also say that in the unfortunate event that an actual shooter ever attempts to target a school, I am confident of the safety for my own minor children that CCSO will promptly have the situation controlled and provide the utmost professional safety to our children and community. I'm sure there isn't much I can do to fix the chaos that was caused, but at the very least I wanted to offer my most sincere apologies to everyone. Please accept and understand that this was all just a mix-up and that I would never harm anyone, especially children. Again, I am sorry and I wish for a positive learning outcome for everyone involved in this situation. Sincerely, Roy Wathan. P.S. If you are the same Mr. Harvey from Port Charlotte Middle School, you were my 6th grade teacher next to Mrs. Doherty back in 1996. If you remember me, then hopefully you remember that I am a good-hearted person.
This iguana hunter is the one who triggered a lockdown at 2 schools in Charlotte County. We brought you the breaking news yesterday. Someone spotted him with what they thought was a rifle right near one of the schools. This guy thought, though, he was just doing his job.
His name is Roy Wathan. He was hired to hunt invasive iguanas. That's why he had a pellet rifle near Vineland Elementary School yesterday. NBC2's Joe Petrello went to meet with Roy today to get his side of the story. And Joe, it appears this was all like a big misunderstanding.
Kelly, it was a misunderstanding, one that caused quite a scare for numerous families, and that's why Roy Wathan agreed to talk today, to clear up what happened and to apologize.
I was on the ground cuffed for a good 45 minutes or so.
A brigade of Charlotte County deputies outside an elementary school.
As I exited my vehicle, I saw an undercover pull up. He immediately jumped out of the vehicle and asked me, put your weapon down, hands in the air.
Helicopters circling above.
I kept worrying that, what am I going, am I going to go to jail for this? Even though I feel that I didn't do anything wrong.
Hunting a man who was hunting iguanas.
This was the pellet gun that caused all the problems yesterday. That's a $35 BB gun that my mom had given me recently that she had bought at Walmart.
Neighbors had hired Roy Wathen to capture invasive iguanas in their community.
Some ignorance on my part, definitely, for not calling ahead, which is something I went over with the deputies.
But because of the confusion, deputies took Wathen into custody.
I would say from the time they detained me until the time they released me was probably 3.5 to 4 hours.
Wathen says he's still relatively new to the iguana hunting game and now knows to call deputies ahead when he brings out his pellet gun.
I can't take back what happened, but I would like to send out my most sincere apologies. I mean, it was purely a mistake and an accident. It will never happen again.
Deputies say their investigation is closed. Wathen will not face any criminal charges.
Your heart goes out to the guy. Obviously, he made a mistake. Other people hunt iguanas. I mean, what should he have done? Because obviously he needs the gun.
Well, the important thing is to just be straight up with your local law enforcement. Call the sheriff's office and just let them know what you're doing, what you're wearing, the type of vehicle you're driving. So then if anybody calls 911 and is worried about somebody with a pellet gun in the area or some kind of gun, the sheriff's office can let them know that it's just an iguana hunter.
One of those only in Florida stories.
Definitely. Definitely an only in Florida story.
Thank you, Joe.
From the man who caused this scary scene outside of 2 Charlotte County schools. A man with a gun was spotted near the schools, prompting a lockdown yesterday afternoon.
Roy Wathen issued an apology hours after the incident in Rotunda West. He says the whole thing is a misunderstanding. Wathen showed us the gun this afternoon. Turns out he was hunting iguanas with a pellet gun. Make News reporter Erica Jackson just talked to him. She's live outside the elementary school now.
Hello, Chris. Good evening. Yes, that lockdown left parents frantic, students crying, and one local business owner embarrassed. The man who admits to causing all the chaos says it was all because of a misunderstanding over iguana hunting.
Up close, it's obvious what it is, but from a distance, it could be, misinterpreted.
This is a pellet gun used by iguana trapper Roy Wathen to hunt the invasive lizards in Rotunda West. But someone called 911 Tuesday to report a man carrying what looked like a rifle near Vineland Elementary.
Within a minute, there was at least 30 officers surrounding and helicopters flying, and it was scary to say the least.
Deputies detained Wathen for nearly 4 hours.
I was embarrassed, very embarrassed.
Law enforcement placed Vineland and nearby L.A. Anger Middle Schools on lockdown, leaving the neighborhood chaotic, parents anxious, and students fearful.
Kind of bone chilling, some kids like crying, and I don't blame them. That was kind of scary.
Wathen calls it a misunderstanding, telling us he's working with homeowners in the area to trap and shoot iguanas.
They completely agreed. To them, it was a favor to remove the iguanas for them.
The father of 2 says he regrets his actions, which caused pain and panic for many.
I can't take back what happened, but I would like to send out my most sincere apology.
And says he learned a lesson from his costly error.
It was purely a mistake and an accident. It will never happen again.
Bottom line, he got a trespassing violation for one property. He tells us he'll now stick to using traps near schools and notify law enforcement whenever he's working with his pellet gun. He also apologizes to everyone affected by his mistake. One of the schools affected by the lockdown is using it as a teaching tool. Today, members of the sheriff's office met with the students.
Iguana hunter explains. Roy Wathen tells how his afternoon hunt led to school lockdowns, a helicopter, and handcuffs. By Elaine Allen Emmerich. Staff writer. Englewood on Tuesday afternoon, Roy Wathen walked with his pellet gun in his hand while checking some iguana traps he'd placed on several lots off of Gulf Stream Boulevard in Englewood East. It just so happened he was not far from L.A. Anger Middle School and Vineland Elementary School, just before the elementary students were being let out. That's when a bus driver noticed a man near a canal with what looked like a rifle and scope. Concerned, the driver called the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. Within 4 minutes the deputy responded. Dozens more were on their way, bent on protecting the school from danger. And 8 minutes later, some of the officers spotted Wathen on the next street over with the plastic gun. They ordered him to drop the weapon and get on the ground. They handcuffed him and began questioning him about what he was doing. But the incident didn't end at that point. The schools were put on lockdown, meaning nobody could enter or leave. Parents were told to stay away. The SWAT team arrived, including an off-duty member who was parked in the parent pickup line waiting for his child. CCSO sent up its helicopter which repeatedly circled above the school while deputies and K-9 officers entered and searched each school, room by room, inside and out. Meanwhile, children sent out text messages to their waiting parents. The schools were on lockdown for about 90 minutes while the officers searched before the campus was cleared and the children were reunited with their parents. See Hunter, 4A. For years, Roy Wathan has been trapping iguanas, which are an invasive species and not native to Florida. On Tuesday, he was questioned by the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office after someone spotted him with a pellet gun near a canal by Vineland Elementary School and LA Middle School. Photo provided. Hunter. From page 1A. Many learned from social media that a man was hunting iguanas near the school. Later on, the CCSO confirmed that it was, in fact, Roy Wathan, who the bus driver had seen and reported. He wasn't arrested and deputies released him soon after they confirmed from neighbors that he was doing what he said he was doing, hunting nuisance iguanas. On Tuesday night, Wathan wrote a Facebook post explaining his side of the story and apologized to the CCSO, first responders, teachers, students, and people in the neighborhood who were impacted by the day's events. The Sun reached out to Wathan with a few more questions about the incident and iguana hunting. Were you at either of the schools with the pellet gun on Tuesday? I was on private property checking on traps I put there a couple of weeks ago after a few homeowners hired me to catch iguanas in their neighborhood. I always knock on doors and tell neighbors what I'm doing. But if I've been there before, I usually don't have to do it every time. On Tuesday, knew I was in a school zone, but I was not on school property. It never crossed my mind that a bus driver would see me and not recognize the gun wasn't real. While I try to be discreet when I'm hunting, I can totally understand why the bus driver would be concerned after seeing me near the canal with the gun and called police. The bus driver's job is to pay attention to surroundings and protect children. What happened when you were approached by deputies? I may not have reacted as quickly as they wanted me to because I didn't think I did anything wrong. I thought this was one deputy who was on patrol and saw me get out of the vehicle with a pellet gun. I had no idea the SWAT team was called, the helicopter was in the air because of me. I had absolutely no idea the school was on lockdown until later when they were questioning me. At first they weren't listening to why I was in the neighborhood with a gun. I finally yelled out that I was hunting iguanas and was paid by a couple of people on the block where they found me. I was terrified. Then I was really embarrassed. You received a trespass warning from the CCSO. Why? I had done work for one woman on the block. But when you are trying to eliminate an infestation problem, you can't just chase the iguanas to the neighbor's yard. So the woman told me her neighbor had a few iguanas in her yard. 2 weeks earlier I had caught 2 of them and the woman paid me cash. On Tuesday, I was there to check on the traps I set to continue eradicating them. The deputies went over to the woman's house to confirm my story but spoke to her husband who said he didn't know anything about it. I tried to explain it was the woman I dealt with, and she paid with cash and not a check, which would have proved my story. I asked if I could go apologize to the woman for all of the confusion with the police and school lockdown but was told no, I was trespassed from the property. I'd like to publicly apologize to her and others who had their neighborhood turned into a police zone for several hours on Tuesday. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. How did you feel about the school being on lockdown? I didn't know the school was on lockdown until I overheard a SWAT team member saying they were ready to go into the school. I was amazed at how quickly CCSO responded to what they thought was a threat at the school. I'm sorry. The school was on lockdown. I'm sorry for any anxiety it caused to students, teachers, parents, the neighbors, and first responders. It's unfortunate we live in a world where we have to have active shooter drills. But now we know that even other police agencies, Northport Police Department, will even come if it's believed there is a threat in our schools. I know when I was growing up, we didn't take fire drills serious. We didn't have active shooter drills. But, I was told that the LA students took it serious. I was later told that CCSO had to continue with their investigation at the school just in case there was a second suspect. That is why the helicopter stayed in the air for so long. The pilot was looking to see if anyone suspicious was running from the campus. It was all precautionary for the safety of everyone at the school. What will you do differently from now on? During questioning, FWC, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation, brought in the big guy from Boca Grande to speak to me about iguana hunting, and he was wearing a shirt that said lizard control, so I think I might start wearing something like that which will identify me and what I'm doing when I'm hunting iguanas and hogs. I was asked by a deputy if I would call into the non-emergency number and tell them when I'm hunting in neighborhoods. I will tell them what I'm wearing. This way if they get a call, they will know it's possibly me. They said they will still respond to the call, but they will at least have a heads up each day I'm in a neighborhood. What do you do with the iguanas? I eat them. I have a license and can shoot and trap iguanas and feral hogs. I am legally not allowed to release them. I have to dispose of them. Really? Do they taste like chicken? They are really good in fried panko, breadcrumbs, and Everglades seasoning. I did bake one the other day and it wasn't very good. But I made them in tacos and it was a great meal. I can catch as many as 9 or 10 in a day. When it was cold out, they were hiding under people's sheds or in tortoise burrows and eating their eggs. Email, elaine.allen@yourzone.com. I'd like to publicly apologize to her and others who had their neighborhood turned into a police zone for several hours on Tuesday. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Roy Wathen, lizard hunter. Students were greeted by their parents Tuesday after.
Hey Sheriff County, this is Sheriff County COPWATCH. I am using any video here with under fair use if you have criticism, reporting, teaching, etc. And please donate. I do not make money from YouTube, and there are different ways to donate in the video links. Thanks.